Hello, Orange Catty, we're playing the game Storm Boy. About Storm Boy. When Storm Boy goes walking along the beach or over the sandhills or in the sanctuary, the birds are not afraid. They know he is a friend. He lives with his father, Hideaway Tom, in a humpy made of Persian wood. One day, Storm Boy takes in a young injured pelican who he names Mr. Percival. Together, Storm Boy and Mr. Percival explore the wild, windswept coast and its sand sails. They help Storm Boy's father catch fish, thwart treacherous poachers, and rescue shipwrecked crew with unexpected consequences. More importantly, Storm Boy learns how to love and care for others with the help of curious and clever pelican. This coming of age tale teaches a gentle lesson about mortality, human cruelty, but ultimately the power of kindness and friendship. Colin Thiele evokes the temper and beauty of the landscape with every syllable that turns a reader's mind into a canvas of the South Australian coast. Young readers will take these characters and his lessons into their heart for the rest of their life. Storm Boy is at the heart of Australian children's literature and returns to young readers in this special 55th edition and as a major motion picture. Colin Milton Thiele, AC, was an Australian author and educator. He was renowned for his award-winning children's fiction, most notably the novels Storm Boy, Bluefin, The Sun on a Stubble series, and February Dragon. About New Holland. With offices in London, Sydney and Auckland, New Holland Publishers is setting the benchmark for high-quality on-trend non-fiction books across categories including cooking and health, natural history and gardening, sport, travel, biographies, true crime, self-help, and reference to bold, substantial coffee table books featuring the most dynamic full-color illustrations. Years before, when Storm Boy's mother had died, he had left Adelaide and gone to live like an hermit by the sea. The only other man who lived anywhere near them was Fingerbone Bill, the Aboriginal. At first, Hideaway was afraid that Storm Boy would get lost, and so Hideaway looked for a landmark. One day he found a big piece of timber lying with a driftwood on the beach. There, said Hideaway. Now you always have a lookout post. You'll be able to see it far up the beach and you won't get lost. Some distance from the place where Hideaway and Fingerbone had built their humvees, the whole stretch of the Coorong and the land around it have been turned into a sanctuary. In the early morning, the tall birds stood up and clapped and cheered the rising sun. Storm Boy felt the excitement and wonder of it. He often sat on the shore all day with his knees up and his chin cupped in his hands. Sometimes he wished he'd been born as an ibis or a pelican. Daydreams like this can last as long as you like. His father's voice roused him and he ran down to the beach to help him dig up a bag full of big cockles for their own tea. "100 cockles is the limit. How do we do this?" Look around and dig. Okay. Oh. How do we know? When Storm Boy went walking along the beach or over the sandhills or in the sanctuary, the birds were not afraid. They knew he was a friend. Hello, Mrs. Penguin. Penguin, said Storm Boy each day. How are your bits of thistledown today? But sometimes Storm Boy saw things that made him sad. In spite of the warnings and notices, people heard the birds. One morning, Storm Boy found everything in uproar and confusion. He heard a faint rustling and crying, and there under the sticks and grass of the broken nest were 3 tiny pelicans, still alive. Storm Boy picked them up carefully and hurried back with them. Two of the baby pelicans were fairly strong, but the third one was depressedly sick. It was 3 days before the baby pelican was well enough to sit up and ask for food. And that was how Mr. Proud, Mr. Ponder, and Mr. Percival came to the life with Storm Boy. Reed pelicans. How do we feed? In the fish. Okay. At last, Hideaway spoke sternly to Storm Boy. Mr. Proud, Mr. Ponder, and Mr. Percival will have to go back to the sanctuary where they came from. You just can't afford to feed them anymore. Time for respectable pelicans to get their own breakfast, Hideaway grumbled, instead of begging from the friends. And as time went on, he really meant what he said. Storm Boy was sad, but he always knew when his father has made up his mind. Yes, Dad, he said. Hideaway sailed for 5 miles up the sanctuary before he stopped the boat. Off you go, he said. Now you have to look after yourselves. Hideaway and Storm Boy spent the day fishing. It was fine and sunny, but somehow it seemed cold. Mr. Percival! It's Mr. Percival! Mr. Percival has come back home! Ever since the miracle of Mr. Percival's rescue, he has been Storm Boy's favorite. Storm Boy often had fun on the beach with Mr. Percival. Whenever he threw the ball or a smooth paddle or a sea urchin or an old fishing reel, Mr. Percival snapped it up and brought it back. If Storm Boy went swimming or sliding down sandhills or playing on the sand, Mr. Percival found a good spot nearby and perched there heavily to watch and wait until it was over. One day, as Hideaway was watching them play, he had an idea. If he can bring things back to you, perhaps he can carry things away too. It was the year of the great storms. They began in May, even before the winter had started. In the darkness of early morning, Storm Boy suddenly woke with Hideaway's voice in his ear. "It's a wreck," Hideaway said, "a shipwreck on the shore." "Look at them," Storm Boy yelled. "We must help them. They will be drowned." "How can we help?" said his father. "We can't throw a line, it's too far." Storm Boy gave a great shout. "Mr. Percival! Mr. Percival is the one to do it. He can fly." Between them all, they slowly hauled the captain ashore and dragged him, pale and half drowned, onto the beach. "Saved," he kept saying weakly. "Saved by a miracle and a pelican." "You're a big, wonderful bird," he said. He looked up at Hideaway. "When he dies, you must send him to the museum. We put a label on the case, the pelican that saved 6 men's lives." Hideaway looked round quickly. He was glad Storm Boy hadn't heard the captain's words. For the rest of the year everyone was happy. The storms went back to the cold south. The sun warmed the sandhills and spring ran over the countryside with new leaves and little bush buds. Before long, the open season for duck shooting came around again. From the start, Mr. Percival hated the shooters. He hurried them whenever he could. Sometimes he just sat staring at them rudely until they grew impatient and chased him away. But most of all, he flew around and round, their hiding places in wide circles like a cumbersome old aeroplane on a patrol. Before long, the ducks understood Mr. Percival's warnings and kept away. The shooters grew angrier and angrier. And so it went on until one terrible morning in February. Don't shoot, it's Mr. Percival! His voice was drowned by the roar of a gun. In the world, Hideaway said sadly, there will always be men who are cruel, just as there will always be men who are lazy or stupid, or wise, or kind. Today you have seen what cruel and stupid men can do. And at 9 o'clock, Mr. Percival died. Mr. Percival, Storm Boy whispered, you're the best friend I ever had. And always, above them in their mind's eye, they can see the shape of two big wings in the storm clouds, and the flying scud, two wings of white with trailing black edges spread across the sky. For birds like Mr. Percival do not really die. You can play the mini games again if you want. So that was Colin Thiele Storm Boy, the game. Thank you all for watching. Wish you all well. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow me. And see you in the next video.